Hi, sixth graders. We're going to read chapter 8 for Sparrowhawk Red. So, Ricky noticed the mysterious girl watching him. So, we're going to find out about her in this chapter. So, chapter 8. Again, Ricky lost sight of her on the crowded sidewalk. He hated being stalked, even by a girl. Sluggishly, he turned and ran after her. Each step shot pain through his tender feet and ankles, quickly forcing him to hobble to a stop. A lame turtle could outrun him, Ricky thought. Why did those jerks have to take his shoes? The street and sidewalk seemed to waver, and his body grew heavy. Had the beating caused this? Maybe it was from not having slept the night before. His brain felt numb. Shaking his head didn't help. Thoughts of the ranch, of Mom, of Dad, of the baby Great Lakes biplane pressed in on him. His life in Arizona seemed so distant, almost from another world. He felt lost. Somehow he had to find food, but how? Ricky scanned the ground. Maybe he could find some money. People often drop change on the sidewalks or in parking lots. Here it ought to be easy, considering all the litter. Gingerly, he limped forward on the edges of his feet, clenching his teeth against the pain. 2 blocks of searching left him grimacing and frustrated. No wonder he couldn't find anything. Around him, a dozen beggars and rateros scrounged, rummaging through the trash cans and the gutters. One group was a family, a mother, a father, and 2 very young girls. Most of what they found ended up in their mouths. Farther down the block, a young boy, maybe 7 years old, ran over and grabbed a piece of old gum from the gutter. He stuffed it into his mouth and chewed hungrily. Ricky shuddered. Ahead, a tall white tourista and his wife approached. She wore a bright long dress and shiny shoes as if she had dressed up to come here. He wore baggy white pants and a shirt with big pineapples painted on the front. The couple spoke loudly, acting unaware of the many eyes that watched them. A cluster of rateros shadowed them from a safe distance, their hands extended. In broken English, they pleaded, "Please, senora, please, senora." Ricky pushed past the rateros and stepped in front of the husband and wife. The big man broke stride to avoid colliding. Ricky spoke in English. "Excuse me, sir." They appeared surprised. The husband stared with piercing eyes, then laughed openly. "That's cute. You've learned English real well, swindling tourists." Ricky extended his hand. "I'm from Arizona," he said. "Please, mister, can I have some money for food?" He didn't dare explain how he'd come to be in Mariposa. The towering man waved his arm. "Right, and I'm from Mars. Go get a job." The blonde wife adjusted her huge green sunglasses. "Let's go, honey," she said impatiently. Ricky kept his hand outstretched. "Just a little bit," he begged, pleading out with his eyes. "Is your hearing bad?" the man growled, then he forced a smile. "Oh, okay, here, maybe something little." He dug into his pocket and held out his clenched hand. Eagerly, Ricky reached up. With a hoarse laugh, the man dropped an empty gum wrapper. "Is that little enough? Now get!" He barged forward, bumping Ricky aside. Ricky threw the crumpled wrapper angrily at the man. The motion caught the big tourist's eye, and he spun around. With his bare paw hand, he cuffed Ricky on the shoulder and knocked him down. "Try that again and I'll wring your neck," he snarled. The wife grabbed her husband's hand and towed him away. Ricky cowered as the couple's loud talk faded. Finally, he stood. The group of rateros had gathered in a half circle, giggling. Ricky avoided their stares and retreated down the sidewalk. This time he did not notice the small, curious eyes still following him from the opposite side of the street. He'd sure gotten into a mess. His stomach pinched with hunger. He winced as each step drove pain up his legs. He wanted to go home, but he could barely walk. An inner voice kept coaxing him not to give up. Looking for the plane. Ricky hobbled on, hungry and tired. He couldn't go after the plane in this condition. The bright sun made the sidewalk hot as a frying pan. Even walking in the shade, pain pulsed in his legs, keeping time with his heartbeat. His jaw ached with a dull throbbing. Ricky balanced on one leg and examined his sorest foot. Blood seeped from the red and puffy heel. Ouch. Ricky clenched his teeth and limped into the nearest alley, drawn by the sight of several discarded cardboard boxes. The sharp gravel bit at his feet like burning matches. Dropping to his hands and knees, he crawled into the largest box. Now both feet were oozing blood. He had to pinch his eyes closed to keep from crying out. A scratchy noise brought his eyes open. 2 feet away, a fat gray rat nosed forward and scurried out across the alley. Heart pounding, Ricky groaned and collapsed back. Life had become a nightmare. His body seemed to float through space. What time was it? Maybe late afternoon? Tomorrow he would get out of here. Now, though, nothing mattered more than sleep. He had to sleep. It was all he could think of, and slowly he relaxed. Down he drifted deeper and deeper. Once he jerked awake, thinking he felt the rat crawling across his body. Ugh. He brushed his hands sharply over his chest. Nothing was there. The alley lay silent in the afternoon sun. Ricky shifted positions, but more sharp gravel poked up through the cardboard. He imagined lying on his big soft waterbed at home. Why had it never seemed special before? Again he relaxed and slept, and he dreamed. At home, dreams were always about planes and pilots and astronauts. Here, the very air was different. Sights, sounds, people, their food, their language, everything had a different feel and flavor. Weird thoughts and images had come to him from nowhere. He had started thinking and understanding differently. And when he slept, he dreamt of new things, but they did not seem new. He dreamed he was a ratero, standing at the head of a long parade of people. The people were in groups and stretched to the horizon. They came from other places and other times. Aztecs, Mayans, there were Mixtecs and Toltecs, Olmecs and Zapotecs. Beyond them were wound miles of soldiers and kings and queens and horses, and beyond them mothers with children and grandparents. Some Ricky recognized, Montezuma and Zapata. He spotted his parents and grandparents. He even waved to them, but they did not see him. There were millions he did not recognize, even cavemen, but they all followed and watched carefully to see where he would lead them. Ricky felt important. He felt responsible and scared. Rateros should not lead parades. How long he slept, he did not know. The sound of gravel grating outside the box snapped him awake. He listened. Only silence. Hard yawns would not drive the numbing weariness away. He blinked and sat up. Dusk had dimmed the alley. The big rat probably wanted the box back. Ricky peeked out. A young girl sat cross-legged in the alley, facing him. Her frayed and baggy dress did not cover her thin, scabby knees. She smiled a nervous, crooked-toothed smile and scraped her bare toes back and forth in the dirt. Some of her teeth were missing. Her age was hard to tell because a flat nose, puffy cheeks, and big ears made her look odd. Tangled black hair hung to her shoulders. Several strands dangled over her curious dark eyes. Ricky frowned. If she planned on robbing him while he slept, the joke was on her. Dry turnips weren't worth squeezing. Then he recognized her and sat up. "You're the one who's been following me," he said in Spanish. She held up a small finger to her pudgy lips. "Shh, it's okay. Go to sleep. I'll watch you." Her voice was hushed, her smile stubborn. "Get out of here," Ricky said. "After you sleep." Ricky regarded her for a long moment, then flopped backward. He closed his eyes, too tired to argue or worry. A 10-foot rat with teeth the size of shovels bit down on Ricky's legs. It shook him back and forth, slaver whipping from its mouth. Bones crunched, blood squirted and splashed in the dirt. Ugh. Ricky woke from that wild dream, breathing hard. It took a few seconds for the huge rat to retreat from his thoughts. Nothing made sense. The dark alley, the cold night, the cardboard box. He shivered, his torn blue jeans and ragged t-shirt doing little to ward off the cold night. It helped to roll onto his side and hug his knees to his chest, but still his teeth chattered. He could not see the moon, but the alley glowed in a dim wash of pale light. He remembered the odd-looking girl and peeked out, searching the shadows. He was alone. A dark mound rested near the box. Cautiously, he ventured out. In the dim moonlight, Ricky found a plastic bottle, 2 dried and stiff tortillas, and a scrape. A blanket with a head hole cut in the middle. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. So he found a plastic bottle, 2 dried and stiff tortillas, and a serape, a blanket with a head hole cut in the middle. Okay, that makes more sense. The ratera must have left this stuff, but why? Hands shaking, Ricky set those offerings inside the box. He stretched the serape, I don't know if I'm saying that right, over his head. The old and patched blanket stank like a dead animal, but it helped soften the cold. Still shivering, Ricky gulped from the plastic bottle. The foul-tasting water made him choke and sputter. He hoped it wouldn't make him sick. After swallowing 2 more stagnant mouthfuls, he sampled the dried tortillas. They could well have been used for frisbees. He wasn't sure if the girl was trying to help him or kill him. Why had she done this? It hurt to bite the dry dough. Splashing it with stale water helped but brought only a moldy taste. Ricky chewed and chewed. These things would clog a toilet. When he had forced down the last bite, he tugged the serape tighter and stood up to stretch. Ouch, he yelped, reminded of the pain in his feet. He collapsed angrily, wondering if the boys from the alley fight hurt half this bad. With grim satisfaction, he remembered the one whose toe he'd bitten. Also, memories of home teased his thoughts and brought with them even more anger. What was Dad doing, and why had he become a quitter? Ever since Mom had died, Ricky had been angry. Not directly at Dad, but at the whole world. No one understood how he felt. Dad happened to be part of that world, and the more he tried to make things right, the more Ricky resented it. Things weren't right. There were times, though, like right now, when Ricky wished he could talk to Dad about all that had happened, but he didn't dare, even if he could. Ricky had loved Mom, and when he lost her, it hurt too much. He decided to quit letting his feelings show. By guarding them, he would never let himself be hurt again, not this bad. Never, ever again would he be anybody's wingman or let anybody be his. Oof, he is very angry inside. All right, my dears, I will see you for chapter 9.